All right, everybody, welcome into the high noon edition of Pugs and Company here on the Radio Misfits Podcast Network. This is the first of two streams that I do each and every day. The first one we do here, we do it alone. We talk about all the things that are happening in the world, trending topics, current events, headlines, whatever it is that people are walking around talking about. I try to get you all prepped up for the day ahead or the day behind. I guess it all depends on when you started your day. Here, by the way, a little word of note. Let's see what here. I really hate myself. I could, Pugs, you can just stop there. You really do just hate yourself. No, I hate myself when I get started here. It's supposed to start at high noon, and unfortunately, sometimes it starts at 12:01 or 12:02 or whatever. And I know that some of y'all folks are waiting in the chat room there for the whole thing to start. Here's what I can tell you. Because of the way this goes, you can pretty much I count on it. I love doing this show. You can count on this show happening every day at noon. However, if there is ever a day, you subscribe to the show, you hit like, you hit subscribe, whatever, and then maybe you get a little bit of a notice on your timeline that says we're going live. Anytime you get one of those things that says they're going live, there is a show, that means there's definitely going to be a show. I would never schedule, because I schedule the shows about an hour before, like maybe sometimes 10:30, 11 o'clock, something like that in the morning. So that's when I know we're going live. So if there's ever like a situation where you don't get one of those and you're sitting in the chat room and it's like 12:05, something came up. Something came up where there will be no show that day, and I apologize. But especially for the noon show, that'll be few and far between because, like I said, I enjoy doing this, and I see this as my full-time job. I don't know if my creditors do, but I do. And so there you have it. So if it's ever like 12:02 or 12:03, because sometimes just, running around here in the last couple of minutes, it gets a little hectic and a little bit hairy. And on occasion, there'll be a situation like today where I have to reboot everything. I was sitting here 5 minutes before we were supposed to go on, and then I realized that something wasn't right. So I just rebooted the whole kit and caboodle, as they say. Hi, Steven. Hi, Byron. I see the folks are already filling up in the chat room. What else do we have to say? This is the first of two streams that I do each and every day here on the Radio Misfits podcast and now streaming network. Second one is Pillow Talk. Could do that with Parker. That's Pugs and Parker present Pillow Talk. Maybe we should change it to Pugs and Parker present Pillow Pals. I like the alliteration there. Pugs and Parker present Pillow Pals. There you go. Maybe we just changed it. I don't know. It's a fluid situation around these parts. All right. What do we have? Today, there's a lot of stuff to talk about today, but there are certain days where I take a look at all the things that are trending and I go through all the newspapers and I find the headlines and I find the top topics and all that kind of stuff. And there are a number of things that I can really be like, oh, okay, I'm going to spend some time on this. Okay, I want to dig into this. Okay, this is interesting. This fascinates me. So I'm just going to wax poetic on whatever it is that's happening here. And that didn't happen today. There's not a whole lot of, there's a bunch of stuff. There's a bunch of little stuff, bunch of, not little stuff, but stuff that not real meaty, not really designed to be dug into, but pretty good. There's a lot of stuff today, so we'll get into that. What is today? Today is February the 1st. Happy February, Feb 1. February 1st is the 32nd day of the year. See, now it gets complicated. We're not in January anymore. It was always easy to figure out how many days we are into the year because of January. Yeah, January 10th is the 10th day of the year. January 15th is the 15th. Now we're into a whole, now math gets involved. Now we reset the monthly calendar number, and now it's the 32nd day of the year. 333 days remain until the end of the year. Okay, let's get started with a moment of joy. Oh, goodness. I look terrible. I didn't shave this morning. Usually I like to trim it up. Oh, also, for those of you who are like, you're fat. I mean, you don't say that. You don't have to. I say that. I've been on a diet. I've been trying to do my running. I've been trying to. I did 10 plus miles between Friday and Sunday as far as my running. So I'm very proud of myself for that. And then I did like nothing yesterday. Actually, I think because I had to do a whole bunch of running around. So I think just the running around, as far as my step counter goes, I logged like 1.5 miles, which is good. That's good. If you could log 1.5 miles a day, that's good. I want to do a little bit better than that. But I didn't go running yesterday. You know why? Because I haven't been telling. I should have mentioned this yesterday. The 10.5 miles caused intense blisters on my, I've got blisters on my feet. Ash, should I show you? Well, here, I'll show you. I'll show you the 1 foot because it's covered. Look at that. I got blisters on my feet. Can't even. So now, always an excuse. Always an excuse to not get the road work in. I can barely walk, and the other foot's worse. It's just the other foot. I don't have bandages on the blisters on my left foot, so I'm not going to show it to you because that's just gross. They're like blisters. I don't want to do that. I don't want to chase anybody away. The other foot doesn't have bandages on it because those blisters are so bad. I'm just going to let the air take care of them. I'm just going to let the fresh air get to them. The other one's kind of hardened over. So stay on me. It's not their job to make sure you're not fat. Some of them may even prefer you fat. Nobody prefers me fat. You don't have to get on me. I'm going to get on myself. I was also thinking about doing weigh-ins. And here's the thing that I was thinking about doing weigh-ins. If I do like a weekly weigh-in for you folks where I have to publicly get on a scale and see my progress, I want you people to hammer me. like if it's not going well, I give you I will not allow. I want you to be critical. I want you to be mean. I want you to shame me. Although I can't really be shamed. I think that's been well established over the years. I have very little shame. I just internalize it all and go, I know. That's what I've been dealing with my whole life. Anyway, thinking about that. Thinking about maybe next Monday instituting the weigh-in. That's how we start the show. And that will either be an additional moment of joy or a moment of severe sadness, depending. All right, so let's get into moment of joy. What do you say here? This one, this is, I guess it depends on, I always like to, what's happening here? Here we go. All right, so here's your moment of joy. Now, I love this. Some of you might be like, yeah, how is that a moment? This is a moment of joy because this is some street justice. Do you enjoy street justice? I enjoy street justice. I don't know where this is. They're driving on the proper side of the road. Oh, is it Mexico? Yeah. Okay. Oh, well, now look at that. Seda Externa 2. And that, I don't know what this is. It looks kind of Mexican to me, though. I don't know. you people tell me. I don't know. That looks kind of Mexican. I don't know if that's a Mexican word. Sure, it looks like a Mexican word. So here you have this beautiful girl. Oh, beautiful. I don't know. She looks nice. Nice looking girl. Standing there. And she is like every other person of her generation. She has her nose buried in a phone, right? So let's see what happens here. This is called street justice. Moment of joy. Here we go. Here comes a bus. Yeah, I'm guessing this is Mexico. All right, here comes this guy. Look at this asshole. Look at him. Whoop! He steals the phone. Oh! Ow! Did you guys see that? You guys, okay, that's just the start of it. This guy, let's watch this guy again. He must, you know what he's doing? You know what the guy in the car is doing? The guy in the car is checking out the chick. That's the only reason the guy in the car knew to do this is because he saw this girl and he's like, oh man, let me get a better look at her. So he saw the crime occur. He saw an opportunity to be a white knight and decided to murder a phone thief on the street. Okay, so we'll start it over. Here you go. Look at that. He's checking her. Whoop, he sees it. A boom, runs the guy over. Oh, but the guy's up. Oh, he's up. He's up and he's off. And now she's chasing him. And this dude's going to get out of the car. Street justice. Okay, there's a guy who's just been hit by the car. He's jacked up. There's something wrong with his leg. He's like got run over. He's like, oh, God. Oh, terrible kick. Knocks him to the ground. Oh, another guy in the motor. Oh, more guys on motorcycles. And now look, now everybody's just, all right, you steal a girl's phone. This is what happens. We're going to kick you a few times. There you go. I'm going to keep kicking you. Backpack guy's getting his kicks in. That dude over there's got a stick. Now he's on the ground. And now it looks like the police are there. Let's watch it one more time in real time. All right. Here we go. There you go. Whoop. Thank you. Funk. Run over. Whoop, whoop. Oh, look right here. He's like, oh, God, was the phone worth it? I'm going to need like $5,000 knee surgery. Oh, my God, this guy kicks me terrible, and he lands. And now the guy in the motorcycle, now I've been run over by a motorcycle. Everybody's kicking me and beating me. And where are the police? Where are the police? Are the cops on the bikes? I think the cops are on the bikes, maybe. I don't know. It does look like there's cops there. My man over there, I like my man in the yellow with a stick. He's like, I'm going to whip him. All right, there you go. That's your moment of joy. That's street justice. That's, a lot of times we don't get the judicial justice that we require. But, and I'm not saying street justice is something that we ought to all jump into, but hey, that was nice, wasn't it? Wasn't that nice? That was nice. April says, I have a beach vacation in a month. So a month weeks. In a month weeks, I have a beach vacation in a month weeks. So I need help with the motivation as well. Okay. So maybe, Jeff says, I think that video is in Lebanon. Do they drive? I assume that like everybody in that part of the world, and when I say that part of the world, I mean everything that isn't this part of the world. I assume they all drive on the left or on the right. Hold on. Wait a second. Let me figure this out because I know. Do you know why we drive on the right here or why they drive on the left there? Okay, so wait a second. So if we drive on the right. Okay, so wait. So if we were driving on hold on, wait, I'm figuring this out in my head. I'm doing this mental gymnastics here. Okay, so if they're on the left and they're going and the other person come in. Yeah. Okay. So, do you know why they drive on the left over in England? I had to figure it out because I didn't know if I had it backwards. I don't know if it was why we drive on the right here or why they drive on the why they drive on the left in England is because back in the days when the roads were built for dudes on horses and guys with swords and stuff, if you were driving on the left and you encountered an adversary coming in the other direction, your sword hand could do battle with the person coming. See? That's why they drive on the left, and they just never changed it. Pugs, that ain't true. I think it is. I think I heard that. I read that somewhere. And it made sense. And I went, well, then why do we drive on the right here? Why did we switch it? Because we were trying to do everything different than they do over there. We didn't want to be them. We wanted to be kind of like them, but we didn't want to be exactly like them. But think about that. So if you're on the opposite side, if you're driving on the opposite side and you're like a dude on a horse and you see a bandit coming in the other direction or somebody you want to just, because I guess they had road rage back then. Now that I think this through, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to research this. I'm going to figure this out, and then I'll bring it back to you on Pillow Talk. But it's something like that. It has something to do with the sword hand, like being able to like wield a sword at somebody coming in the other direction. That's your moment of joy. It's your moment of joy. A very confusing end to the moment of joy, but there you have it. Street justice. What happened on this day? We like to run through all the things that make today special or sad or memorable or whatever. On this day in 1960, 4 black students staged the first Greensboro sit-ins at a lunch counter in Greensboro, North Carolina. That was on this day, the during the civil rights movement, you had the sit-ins. Man, isn't that that's like an alien world to us, right? Like, could you just imagine? Imagine being at a diner, sitting at the counter, and you weren't, or the buses where you got to sit in the back. Look, I'm not saying, look, the problem was that they had no choice where they could sit, but I would choose to sit in the back. Whenever I rode the school bus, man, all the cool kids were in the back. We tried to be in the back because you were furthest away from the bus driver. You could get away with more shit, but that has nothing to do with, at least I had a choice. If I wanted to sit near the front, I could, but imagine that. Imagine how weird that was. Like, I mean, there are people still alive, like our grandparents and stuff, who remember, whites only water fountains and black people. How progress has been made. Not enough, I guess. Hey, I'm a white guy. I shouldn't be getting into this. Whatever. Progress is always good. We should strive to continually progress, because that's what it means. Progress, not regress, not go back, because we don't want to repeat what happened in the past. We want to open armed embrace what's happening in the future. Progress. 1964, on this day, the Beatles have their first number one hit in the United States. Do you know what it was? I want to hold your hand. On this day in 1979, the Iranian Ayatollah Khomeini returns to Tehran after nearly 15 years of exile. So on this day in 79, the Ayatollah Khomeini returned to Tehran. He'd been gone for 15 years, and he did very little after he returned. And we never heard from the Ayatollah Khomeini again. He just kind of quietly went into retirement and just no, of course not. Of course, that was the start of the Islamic uprising, and the students who took over the United States embassy held all those hostage for so long. This was all precipitated by the Shah of Iran, who was a monarch. He was basically like the king of Iran. He was a puppet guy. He was put in place by us, the United States and Western alliances, to sort of keep that place in check. In Iran, up until the departure of the Shah, Iran was a very Western, women could drive, women could go to school. There were all kinds, not just women, but there were all kinds of rights. You could buy alcohol, you could drink. It wasn't, people were Islamic, some, but there were a lot of Christians. Most, in reality, most of your friends who are Iranian, whose parents came here in the 1980s, are Christian Iranians who, after the Shah left and you had the student uprising in the Islamic Revolution in Iran, they had to get the hell out of there, because they were loyalists to the Shah, they were loyalists to the Western. So that's what happened. Oh, and the Shah got sick. That's what happened. That's how tenuous that whole thing was with the Shah of Iran. Like, there was no plan in place for someone to succeed to the throne. It was just the Shah, and he got sick, and there was an opening. So the Ayatollah Khomeini on this day returned back to Tehran, and then suddenly all the rabble rousers got, and now we have what we have. We have Iran. Which what's happening with Iran? Iran is still a problem. All these years later, in 2002, speaking of really sad things that happened, in 2002, Daniel Pearl, the American journalist and bureau chief of the Wall Street Journal, was kidnapped by Islamic radicals and beheaded and mutilated by his captors. Remember that? I remember that, boy. I remember that story happening, and we were on the air, and it was like a big story, and we actively were like, yeah, we don't want to talk about that. That's just, I never saw the video. I know some people are like, you never saw him getting beheaded. Hell no. I have no interest in this. I don't need confirmation of man's cruelty to man. I completely understand how horrible and what our capabilities are in the realm of being just shitty to one another. I don't need to see that. I don't like that stuff in general, though. Now, the street justice thing where the dude gets run over, that's badass. That I'll watch all day. But I don't want to. Come on, man. Come on. I don't want to see. No Faces of Death reboots for me. Come on. Are you kidding me? Ugh, God. So that was on this day in 2002. Daniel Pearl was beheaded. And how about this one, huh? On this day in 2003, the space shuttle Columbia disintegrated during the re-entry into the Earth's atmosphere, killing all 7 astronauts on board. I vividly remember that. I remember, just Friday was the anniversary of the space shuttle Columbia exploding on liftoff back in 1986. 2003, I remember I was living in Plano. It was a Saturday afternoon, Saturday mid-morning, late afternoon. And my friend Aaron called me and said, hey, you want to go grab lunch? And I'm like, where? He's like, Texadelphia. I'm like, I'm down. So I said, but hold on, because the space shuttle just exploded. He's like, what? Where? I'm like, up above us, over Texas. It just blew up. It's got. I'm watching the news on it, and so I remember going to Texadelphia on that. You know, it's weird, these sort of connections that we make. These these monumental events, these monumental things that occur, and then just the weird little things that attach themselves to it. So I remember, I will forever, forever equate that terrible, terrible incident with the Space Shuttle Columbia disintegrating over Texas with going to Texadelphia. And that was also where we coined the term, the geographical term, shuttle country, for West Texas, that part of not Southwest, but like West Central Texas, where the space shuttle scattered its debris over like 100-mile debris field. Oh, they were finding small towns. They've been finding like pieces of the shuttle for years out there. So that happened on this day, 2003, the Space Shuttle Columbia. The Columbia was also, and I remember when this happened thinking, well, Columbia was the oldest of the space shuttles. The Columbia was the one that the first one, the very first space shuttle that they launched back in like 1981. And here it is. It's flying 22 years later. Still flying. That's what killed. You know, I'm a space geek. When NASA decided that they would stop the exploration of space, which would have continued with moon landings and moon bases and creating an operations center up there on the moon, they decided that they weren't going to do that. They went, okay, we went to the moon. We need to turn NASA into more of a functional agency, and satellites are becoming a thing. So let's move away from the non-commercial aspects of space, even though space exploration would eventually have massive commercial implications for the world. And they said, let's stop with the moon stuff. Let's stop with trying to go to Mars. If we had continued on the moon path, we'd have been at Mars 20 years ago. If we'd have continued that way. But there wasn't a decision made by NASA to become the people who launch satellites, the people who put things into space that private companies want in space. And so they created the shuttle program, which was essentially a space pickup truck. That's what it was. It was boring. It was, the first couple shuttle launches were fascinating and people were all excited about it. But then when we realized this is just a pickup truck. This is just a space pickup truck that we're sending up there, and we're launching satellites for AT&T or for whomever, HBO, whatever it was we were doing. And the American public were like, well, that's not exciting. I mean, we all enjoy GPS and we enjoy satellite TV and all that kind of stuff. But, it wasn't quite as exciting as putting a man on the moon. And that's when NASA lost favor with the American public. The American public got bored by the routine aspects of the space shuttle. And now here we are all these years later. We've ended the space shuttle program because now private industry has figured out a way to put satellites into space on their own. They don't need NASA for that. And, so now they're focusing again on trying to drum up some interest in space exploration, and I'm all for it. Mars and beyond, people. 2003, the Space Shuttle Columbia disintegrated during re-entry over Texas. On this day in 1991, there was an incident concerning an airplane. Well, Pugs, you just said an incident in the space shuttle. Yeah, but the space shuttle doesn't fit the criteria of the plane crashes or plane incidents. 1991, a runway collision between U.S. Air Flight 1493 and SkyWest Flight 5569 at Los Angeles International Airport results in the deaths of 34 people and injuries to 30 others. So there you go. We have a commercial airline incident on this day. How about some birthdays? Birthdays. Oh, we got birthdays. We got a lot of birthdays. We got a lot of birthdays today because, as I said, the topics that are trending, not a whole lot for me to delve into. Not a whole lot. Not much to sink. Not really steaky, the topics for today. Born on this day in 1937, Garrett Morris, American actor and comedian and one of the original Saturday Night Live Not Ready for Primetime players. When did they stop calling? I think it was after the first group of SNL people that they dropped the Not Ready for Primetime players. because, as it turned out, many of them were, in fact, ready for prime time, and many of them went on to have big TV careers, movie careers. Garrett Morris, famous for, boy, he was really underused. He was like, dare I say, a token. Well, we need a black guy. Let's have this black. And then all of these like white Harvard Ivy League writers just wrote nothing for him. There was very little stuff for Garrett Morris to do. Chico Escuela, baseball been better go to me. That's pretty much it. That's like really all people remember Garrett Morris for, as far as his Saturday Night Live stuff. Garrett Morris, born on this day in 1937. I don't even know if he was funny. I don't even know. He wasn't given anything to. He was on Martin. Remember the TV show Martin? Like, he would pop up from time to time. But I would say that, like, even Lorraine Newman had a bigger career post Saturday Night Live than Garrett Morris. He seems to be of those first group of Saturday Night Live people. Your Dan Aykroyds, your Chevy Chases, your John Belushis, your Gilda Radners, your Jane Curtins. Who else? Who am I missing? I don't think I'm missing anybody. Garrett Morris and Lorraine Newman were probably the ones that went on to do the least. And I would say that even Lorraine Newman did more than Garrett Morris. Okay. Also born on this day in 1938, 1 year after. Wow, he was a year younger than Garrett Morris. Sherman Hemsley. Away, I'm moving on up. Sherman Hemsley. George Jefferson. All in the Family. Got the spinoff, The Jeffersons. Had that walk. Sherman Hemsley. Born on this day in 1938. He's dead, though. He died in 2012. Born on this day in 1942. Yeah, just so you know, we're always going to celebrate a Python birthday. Terry Jones of Monty Python. He was born on this day. You know, Terry Jones was sort of like, for a while with Monty Python. If you've ever seen documentaries on Monty Python. Terry, first of all, let me say this about Terry Jones. They all played women. Terry Jones played the best women. Nobody played a woman better than Terry Jones on Monty Python's Flying Circus. Terry Jones was kind of like not liked initially. Here's the deal. When Monty Python first got together, Terry Jones was considered the cool one. Terry Jones was the one the like hipster one, the one like John Cleese was. John Cleese was very sort of uptight, and he came from this very sort of upper class background. And if you know John Cleese, that's kind of how he always carried himself. Michael Palin was this sort of regular guy who came from like a working class background, but Michael Palin was considered not necessarily like a cool guy, just sort of like a regular guy. Graham, why can't I think of Graham's name? Oh my God. He's dead and I can't think of his name. Anyway, Terry Jones was like the cool one, but the BBC, they didn't like that he was Welsh. Like, he wasn't English. Like, you and I, we make no distinction between someone who's Welsh and someone who's English. But Terry Jones was sort of marginalized in the very early goings of, even though everybody thought he was cool, like when they'd go out to the bars and stuff, they all wanted to hang out with Terry Jones because Terry Jones he had the women and he had the, all that kind of stuff, but he was Welsh. And I think it was a BBC thing. The BBC thing was like, let's marginalize that guy. Why? Because the BBC is probably a bunch of assholes. Anyway, happy birthday, Terry Jones. You're one of my favorite Monty Python guys. Terry Jones, Welsh actor, and Monty Python, born on this day, also died 2 years ago, in 2020. Born on this day in 1947, Jessica Savage. She was an American journalist, also dead. God, all these people are dead. Jessica Savage died in 1983. I read a book about Jessica Savage called Anchorwoman back when I was in college, and it was a good read. There was also a made-for-TV movie made about Jessica Savage. Starred, I want to say, Celia Ward. I don't know. Jessica Savage was fascinating. Jessica Savage was, like, there was Barbara Walters on the news. But then they elevated Jessica. Jessica Savage was like the first woman who was elevated to a primetime news spot. And I don't mean to denigrate her because she was good at her job and she turned out to be very good, but she was elevated because she was hot. She was like, there was a decision made that they were going to add another woman, and the criteria was that she had to be someone that men wanted to look at. And so Jessica Savage became a big. I mean, she was big. She was being fast tracked to everything that eventually Diane Sawyer achieved, and all the other women, Barbara Walters. But Jessica Savage also, the problem with Jessica Savage was that she was an addict. She was an alcoholic. She was a raging alcoholic. She was a drug addict. She would show up on set drunk. She would do news breaks drunk. She famously got in trouble because it was during a Sunday news break. Like there was a football game on, or there was something on. Or no, maybe it wasn't football. I don't know why. Maybe I'm clouding or combining a couple of events. But they used to break in at the bottom of the hour, national news. And they'd be like, and now an NBC News break here from Washington is Jessica Savage. And she did a couple of stories, and the final story was about a dolphin that saved a boy in the ocean. And the dolphin, basically, a boy had fallen into the ocean, and it was shark-infested waters, and a bunch of dolphins decided to circle around the boy, saving the boy from sharks. Now, I don't know if this is true or not. It's a story that they reported. I go, what? I don't know about that, but whatever. Apparently, it's true. So she did the story about the dolphins, and then she said, "I'm Jessica Savage. Good night." And it went to went to the, this has been an NBC news, whatever, that thing, the closing thing. And they left her mic on, and Jessica Savage goes, "I could use some fucking dolphins around here right now." Like she was pissed about something that went on. I wonder if you can find that. I wonder if that's on I don't know. I wonder if that's on YouTube. When you guys jump off and see if you can find Jessica Savage dolphins on YouTube. She died too. I think she died in a pretty bizarre way. On October 23rd, 1983, 20 days after her problematic NBC broadcast. Oh, that is it. Okay, so that's it. 20 days after if I could use some fucking dolphins, she drunkenly slurred. Savage had dinner with Martin Fishbane, vice president of the New York Post, in New Haven, Pennsylvania. Savage and Fishbane had been dating for a few weeks. After eating at the restaurant, Chez Odette, they began to drive home about 7:15 with Fishbane behind the wheel and Savage in the back seat with her dog Chewy. Fishbane may have missed posted warning signs in heavy rainfall. He drove. Oh, this is different. I thought she was driving, but apparently, so she died. There was a bad car accident and she died. Like I said, I read the book. It was fascinating. It was a fascinating book. She was an interesting woman. In popular culture, Jessica Savage published her own autobiography, Anchorwoman. That's the one I read in 1982. After her death, 2 posthumous biographies were written about her, according to the Washington Post. Anyway, we don't need to spend this much time on Jessica Savage, but she's interesting in the history of females in news because she was one of the first big female news stars, and she was elevated because she was really hot. And then she died. She died ridiculously young, right just as she was becoming whatever it was that she would. Speaking of somebody else that I recently saw a documentary of, celebrating a birthday today, but also dead in 2004. Whoa, man, the pride of Buffalo, New York. No, I'm not talking about Jim Kelly. I'm talking about Rick James, bitches. Rick James. Rick James was born on this day in 1948. There is a tremendous documentary out about Rick James. Again, I think this is on Showtime. This is going to be the second day in a row that I've touted a documentary on Showtime. Showtime has a lot of good documentaries, mostly popular culture documentaries, not like boring, the downfall of King Edward III. None of that shit. This is like Rick James, stuff like that. So if you get a chance to watch it, Rick James was a crazy man. His entire career. Think about this. Think about trying to pull this off today. Rick James' entire career, when he was doing a super freak, she's super freak. She's producing the Mary Jane Girls. Rick James was a big star for about 5 years in the 80s. And then, in soul circles and R&B circles, he was a massive star, much longer. But as far as his crossover stuff, probably about 5 years. The entire time Rick James was famous, he was AWOL from the United States Army. He was like a wanted criminal. And he's up there doing concerts to like 30,000. And nobody said anything. It was like, whatever. He's making money. Leave him alone. Imagine that today. Imagine if it turned out today that like Justin Timberlake was AWOL from the Navy. that'd be a scandal of epic proportions. Rick James. Rick James was an interesting guy, man. Interesting guy. He played in like bands. Like, so he was in the Army and then he went on leave from the Army and then just decided, I'm not going to do this anymore. I'm going to go up to Canada and form a band with Neil Young. And he did. He went up, he played in a band with Neil Young in Canada. He got signed to a record deal. And then something happened with that band. Neil Young left to be in Buffalo Springfield, and then the band dissolved, and Rick James decided to end up going solo. Great documentary on Rick James. Born on this day in 1948, died in 2004. Born on this day in 1950, still alive, thankfully, the great Mike Campbell. Mike Campbell, of course, of the Heartbreakers. He was Tom Petty's right-hand man for all those years. Mike Campbell, American guitarist, songwriter, and record producer. Born on this day in 1964, also dead. This one, when I read this morning, I went, what? How the hell did Warrant lead singer Jani Lane die? How did this one get past me? No. Jani Lane, born on this day, 1964. He died on August 11, 2011. The Los Angeles Police Department and local news stations announced that Lane was found dead of acute alcohol poisoning at a Comfort Inn. Oh man, what a not so glorious way for the lead singer of Warrant to go out. At a Comfort Inn. He was 47 years old. Lane was pronounced dead by fire department personnel who responded to a call shortly before 5:30 p.m. A public memorial concert with performances by Great White, Quiet Riot, and LA Guns was held on August 29th at the Key Club in Hollywood. Oh boy. I guess like when you think of Warrant, like does Warrant have a new lead singer? Is it anybody interesting? Is it who's fronting Warrant these days? Because aren't they going back on tour? You know what? I just realized something. I'm confusing Warrant with Poison. What songs did Warrant have? What did they do? Cherry Pie? She's my cherry pie. But what else? Or is that Poison? That's Warrant. Folks, during the time of the Sunset Strip metal stuff, I wasn't a Sunset Strip metal guy. I think by that time I had sort of, because I had always been more of a new wave post-punk kind of guy. Like I liked that stuff better. Like I was more into like, The Cure and The Clash and Duran Duran and U2 and stuff. I was more into stuff like that back at the time. But then I sort of transitioned into like the college rocks, like the REMs, and it got messed. My popular culture wheelhouse is missing a spoke where it comes to a lot of that 80s Sunset Strip stuff. And later in life, I learned to enjoy it, working in different radio stations. Like, I'll tell you, I used to think Motley Crue sucked. And then like 20 years ago, for some reason, I started listening to some Motley Crue. And I'm like, you know what? They don't suck. They are fun. They are fun. And again, I may not have loved like the Motley Crue fan. I say this a lot. Like I don't love the Grateful Dead fans, but I really don't mind the Grateful Dead. I don't mind Joe Rogan, but it's Joe Rogan fans that I kind of have a problem with. That's sort of how I guess I felt about those 80s Sunset Strip metal bands. Motley Crue is fun. You can't tell me that Poison doesn't have half a dozen hits that are bangers. They just simply do. And same with Warrant. I didn't know Jani Lane had died, but here we go, finding it out. I am right now in this moment on February the 1st, 2022. I am in mourning for Jani Lane. Get it right, Pugs. It's not Jamie, it's Jani. Here's another good one. Like I said, we're doing a lot of birthdays because there's not a whole lot for me to... there's stories, but not a great stories. Born on this day in 1965. One of my all-time favorites. If I were to make a list for you of teenage Pugs. Teenage Pugs fantasy date list, right? If I were to make that list, this girl born in 1965 would be damn near the top of it. She might be number 2. I don't know if she'd be number 1. I would really have to break this list down and look at who's on there. But born on this day in 1965, Sherilyn Fenn. Oh my God. Probably most famous for her role after her. She did a lot of like movies in the 80s that were like where she was the teen hot girl. But then in like the early 90s, late 80s, she became famous as Audrey Horne from Twin Peaks, you know, with the cherry and the little schoolgirl off. Oh my God. Sherilyn Fenn. Get out of here, Sherilyn Fenn. I'm going to send her a birthday note. You know why? Because we follow each other on Twitter. Yeah. I don't know how that happened, but Sherilyn Fenn sometimes pops up on my Twitter commenting or liking things that I do. And I consider that a victory because now I'm actually a little bit closer to dating Sherilyn Fenn. I wanted to date her when I was like 16, 17 years old and she was like 20, 21, something like that. But that wasn't happening. Now, maybe now we actually have some sort of connection. Sherilyn Fenn, happy birthday to you, 1965. Just a world-class, fabulous babe. Lisa Marie Presley was born on this day in 1968. Of course, she is the daughter of Elvis Presley. You know what my problem with Lisa? Married to Michael Jackson, right? How incredibly interesting would a Michael Jackson, Lisa Marie Presley baby have been? Did they have? They didn't have a baby, right? Like all of her kids, like Elvis Presley's grandkids, like Riley Keough. Riley Keough is one. She's an actress that you see pop up in things from time to time. She's sort of like a building young actress. It's Elvis Presley's granddaughter. It's like, look at that. They all have that same. Here's my problem with Lisa Marie Presley. Probably a beautiful girl. Mother Priscilla Presley, unquestionably a beautiful woman. Elvis Presley, unquestionably a handsome man. But Lisa Marie Presley looked a little too much like Elvis. You know, it's like those eyes. Like I would have liked a little bit more from Priscilla than from Elvis. Like Elvis had these eyes that I guess were good for a dude if he was trying to look, you know, menacing and seductive and mysterious. But never a woman. It doesn't really work with women. They seem kind of dead when set in a woman's head. So I know a lot of people. Lisa Marie Presley's beautiful, and I'm sure she is. Just that the Elvis eyes. It's weird. It's like I all I see is Elvis. It's like I look at her and I go, that's Elvis. That's I don't know. Happy birthday, Lisa Marie Presley. You and all of your kids or whatever. Also born on this day in 1971, Michael C. Hall. Oh, Dexter. Happy birthday, Dexter. Dexter beat cancer. That's right. Michael C. Hall, if you remember, he had cancer like 10 years ago, and it was touch and go, and he had all kinds of radical surgeries, and he beat it, and now he's back. Showtime has rebooted Dexter. They just finished the first season of the new Dexter series, and I sat down a couple of weeks ago, and I started to watch the first episode of the new Dexter. And I decided that I can't do this. It's been so long since I watched Dexter. I don't remember the backstory. So a couple of weeks ago, I started re-binging Dexter, and I just finished season 1, and now I'm going to move on to season 2. Dexter is such a good series, man. I forget how good that series was. It's not so much a police procedural as it is just an off the wall, insane example of what really dark and twisted writing in television can be. Dexter is fantastic. I've refound my love and glory for Dexter, and I always feel bad because whenever I talk about like the greatest television shows and peak TV, I almost never remember to include Dexter, and Dexter needs to be in there. It's now granted I'm rewatching it, so my hype is rebuilt for it, but Dexter. Happy birthday, Michael C. Hall. So glad that you beat cancer and so glad that you're doing Dexter again. And I look forward in a couple of months to being up to speed on the previous like 8 seasons. It's going to take a while. I'm doing maybe a couple episodes a week. So I'm not rushing it. I'm not sitting there and binging. But I'll get to it. I'll get to the new Dexter. I hear it's good. I know people who've seen it and they're like, yeah, it's good, man. Born on this day in 1979. Also, another one of my absolute favorite. Oh, this guy, if you don't follow this guy on Twitter, born on this day in 1979, of course, I'm talking about Southern rock, country music singer, Jason Isbell. Jason Isbell is cool on Twitter, man. 400 unit, drive-by truckers. He is he is one of the guys. Drive-by Truckers is one of those bands years ago that got me to sort of reinvestigate country music. I was living here in Texas. I was going to a lot of shows, and a lot of the rock bands that you would see here in Texas on the local scene have a very Texas, very country sort of rooted bass. You know, they're not like, "Oh my baby," you know, none of that stuff. It's just like but Jason Isbell is one of the great modern country songwriters. Happy birthday, Jason Isbell. I love you. You are so awesome. Also born on this day in 1987, Ronda Rousey, American mixed martial artist and actress for a period of time, about 5, 6, 7, 8, maybe even 10 years ago now. I'm not even sure. 87, 97, 2007. Yeah, she was probably 22. So about 10 years ago, I would have said she was the single most dominant female mixed martial artist I had ever seen. And then she was exposed for being what she is, which is a fairly one-dimensional fighter. A new generation of female fighters who watched Rousey came up with ways and trained in ways to defeat her style. She was an armbar. Nobody could escape her armbar until that one night when boxer Holly Holm somehow figured out how to stay away from her armbar and just knocked her the F out, just clocked her. Turns out Ronda couldn't really take a punch. Well, up until that point, Ronda hadn't needed to take a punch because she would get them in some kind of judo position and then she would armbar them and the people would immediately tap out. Ronda Rousey. Now she's doing wrestling. Now she's out there doing wrestling. Born on this day, final, the last birthday, Harry Styles. Harry Styles is trending today, although I don't really have much to say about Harry Styles. I'm not all that familiar with him. Not even sure what band he came from. Yes, I am. One Direction. I know he came from One Direction. Why are you playing stupid, Pugs? Don't play stupid. Nobody appreciates someone who's playing stupid. A couple of interesting deaths on this day that we should mention before we get into the topics. Heather O'Rourke died on this day in 1975. Heather O'Rourke. They're here. Remember the little girl from the Poltergeist movies? The beautiful little blonde-haired, blue-eyed girl. She got her start. I remember Heather O'Rourke. She was Fonzie's daughter, or Fonzie's stepdaughter, or whatever, in the last couple of seasons of Happy Days. Fonzie got married. I don't know who he got married to. Was that like Shelley Fabre or something? Or I don't know, one of the Fabres maybe. I don't know. Shelley Long. I don't know. Who did Fonzie marry? Let me know. Let me know in the chat room if you. Is it Screech's birthday? I didn't see Screech's birthday. Yeah, Adam Reyna, Sturgill Simpson is incredible too. Yeah, Adam Reyna says, I like Jason Isbell, but man, do I love Sturgill Simpson. Yeah. Adam, I think it's appropriate for you to be able to love both of them. I don't think you have to be, singular in your love. I love both of them. Sturgill Simpson's so great. Boy, we could do a whole show on my late in life appreciation for the country grounded, and not country, but country grounded singer-songwriter. I love lyrics, man. That's more than anything else. A good lyric is what. Illness and death. How did we lose Heather O'Rourke? I don't remember. She was like a baby. She was like, how old was she? 12? Let me see. How old was she when she died? She was 12 years old when she died. They're here. In early 1987, O'Rourke became ill with giardiasis. I don't know what that is. Giardiasis. Giardiasis, which she contracted from well water at her family's home in Big Bear Lake. She was subsequently diagnosed as having Crohn's disease. She was prescribed cortisone injections to treat the disease during the time she was filming Poltergeist 3. The steroidal injections resulted in facial swelling of the cheeks, which O'Rourke's mother said she was very self-conscious about. On January 31st, 1988, O'Rourke began exhibiting flu-like... Okay, well, we know how she died. What a shame. What a cute little girl Heather O'Rourke was. What a career she probably could have had. Heather O'Rourke could be a multi-Academy Award winning actress. What are you talking about? Child stars never go on to do anything. Yeah, tell that to Jodie Foster and Ron Howard. Tell that to Jason Bateman. She could have been one of the exceptions. And also on this day, the crew of the Space Shuttle Columbia, Michael P. Anderson, David M. Brown, Kalpana Chawla, Laurel Clark, Rick Husband, and like one of the greatest astronaut names of all time, William C. Billy McCool. Billy McCool, astronaut. I mean, I know I totally understand why the Toy Story people went with Buzz Aldrin, went with Buzz Lightyear, right? For Buzz. But man, they could have done Billy McCool, astronaut Billy McCool. Ilian Ramon, so that's it. Ilian Ramon, William C. Billy McCool, Rick Husband, Laurel Clark, Kalpana Chawla, David M. Brown, and Michael P. Anderson were the crew of the Space Shuttle Columbia, who disintegrated over Texas on this day in 2003. Also dead on this day, an American television icon, Don Cornelius, the Soul Train. There is I believe it's on Amazon Prime. There is a series, one season series, a mini series, maybe, I guess you'd call it, about Don Cornelius and Soul Train. And boy, oh boy, yeah, I mean, he did certainly iconic, certainly a guy that changed the way urban music is presented to the mainstream. Soul Train was one of the, white suburban kids had Bandstand, but the cool kids, I'd say the urban kids and the cool kids in the suburbs had Soul Train, which was a little bit edgier, a little bit, certainly it was just saying, it was a show for black people, designed for black people. It was supposed to be the counterpart to Bandstand. I used to love watching Soul Train. Never mind. I could tell a Soul Train story, but there's no need for that. Don Cornelius was a tortured man. Don Cornelius had depression. He had, here, we'll just give you the death thing. In the early morning hours of February 1st, 2012, police officers responded to a report of a shooting and found Cornelius on the floor of his home at Mulholland Drive with a self-inflicted gunshot wound to the head. He was taken to Cedars-Sinai Medical Center, where he was pronounced dead by the LA County Assistant Chief Coroner. And according to former Soul Train host Shamar Moore, Cornelius may have been suffering from early onset dementia and Alzheimer's disease, and his health had been in decline. An autopsy found that Cornelius had been suffering from seizures during his last 15 years of life, a complication of a 21-hour brain operation he underwent in 1982 to correct a congenital deformity in his cerebral arteries. He admitted that he was never quite the same after that surgery, and it was a factor in his decision to retire from hosting Soul Train in 1993. According to his son, Cornelius was in extreme pain by the end and said shortly before his death, "I don't know how much longer I can take this." So there you have it. Don Cornelius, television icon, incredibly important man in popular culture, a music business behemoth. Don Cornelius, woo, he was a kingmaker back in the day. Very sad. Died on this day. All right, what is today the national day of? Let's see. Let's get into this. We'll figure out what today is the national day of. Today is the national day. It's National Dark Chocolate Day. I can do dark chocolate if it's got an appropriate amount of sugar. You know what I mean? Like just plain dark chocolate, like unsweetened dark chocolate. You may as well be chewing mud. That is just like, ugh. But dark chocolate. I love me a Mounds bar. A little dark chocolate and coconut. That's good. It's National Baked Alaska Day. Isn't that cooked ice cream? Isn't that what Baked Alaska is? What is Baked Alaska? I don't know. Baked Alaska seems like a menu item that would have been on the Titanic's menu. Something that we don't eat anymore. Ice cream and cake come together in a celebration of Baked Alaska Day, an elaborate dessert that is also known as omelette novangine. Baked Alaska is made with hard ice cream on a base of sponge cake and covered in a shell of toasted meringue. Yeah, that's not really anything. It's not really anything that we eat anymore. Yeah. What else is today? Hold on, I'm getting to the big one. There is a big one today. It is National Freedom Day. Today kicks off Black History Month. It's National Freedom Day. I'm sure we'll get into that. National Get Up Day. I don't know what that is. National Serpent Day. What? Snakes get their own day. Forget about the stupid stuff. Go to the big one. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you February 1st, National Texas Day. National Texas Day. Let's see what this is all about. Are we celebrating it? Are we flying our flags? Is that something we do here? Because this is the first time I've heard of National Texas Day. In 2017, National Day calendar began celebrating each state in the order they entered the Union, starting the week of Independence Day and ending with Hawaii. On February 1st, National Texas Day recognizes the Lone Star State. That's where we are, along with its fierce record of independent people and history. The 28th state may not be the only state with a record of being a republic, but their dramatic revolution and fight for independence keeps Texas history alive. Yeah, there we go. Happy Texas Day. Look at us. Today's our day. Today's our day to be, just a little bit more uppity than the rest of the states. All right, let's get into what's trending. Hey, these are the things people talking about today. Tom Brady is finally trending because it is finally official. Tom Brady, after much debate over the weekend, was it Jeff Darlington? Adam Schefter? I know it was Schefter. Two of the NFL's best sports newsbreakers, insiders, if you will, on Saturday announced on Twitter that Tom Brady was retiring. This turned the Twittersphere into a just bouillabaisse of Tom Brady related topics. I said at some point on Saturday, I was looking at the trending topics on Twitter and seeing what people were talking about. And 7 of the top 10 were Tom Brady related trends. That's how much this shook the Twitterverse on Saturday when Darlington and Schefter announced that he was retiring. That went on for about 5 hours. Then the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, they made a statement saying, "We don't know anything about this. He didn't say anything to us. He didn't blah, blah, blah." And then Tom Brady's camp, they put out a statement. "We have not made a decision. We have not decided one way or another. We do not know where." Fake news! Fake news! Here's the thing about fake news. There may be aspects of it, of fake news, that goes on in other aspects of information dissemination, right? I think that's been made perfectly clear. And there's a story coming up where we'll talk about fake news. But the NFL doesn't do that. These NFL reporters, man, when they get something, it's typically dead on. And Schefter and Darlington were dragged for the next 48 hours. Even on yesterday's Monday morning sports shows, they were getting dragged. "Oh, this is just another example of wanting to be first. This is an example of there being no accountability in the world of breaking news when it comes to sports journalism," and blah, blah, blah. They were just getting dragged. And I'm sitting here going, I'm watching all this. I'm going, these guys don't get it wrong. This is not like some political operative filing a news story in order to convince a certain segment of the voting population to look at a story a certain way. That's not what this is. These are NFL guys. Their shingle is 100% dependent on their credibility. So I'm like, I don't know, man. I don't know. And then here it is today. Finally today, Tom Brady has announced, and he has put out a statement. He is retiring from football. Schefter and Darlington were right. It wasn't fake news. They just scooped the story, and scooping the story is sometimes something that pisses off the people who are at the center of the story, and that's all that happened. They scooped the story on Saturday. Tom Brady, as the story goes today, Tom Brady on Sunday, his camp was going to announce a press conference for Monday. And that was supposed to be them controlling the story, them controlling the spin. 24 hours before they were planned to make this statement, Schefter and Darlington got it from somebody inside the Brady camp and ran with it. And then they spent 48 hours dragging Darlington and Schefter for being wrong. Meanwhile, Adam Schefter, the whole time, he's going, yeah, let's just wait. Let's just wait. Let's just wait. And everybody's, no, you have no credibility anymore. Turns out they did have credibility and their sources were good and they did break the story. It's just that it pissed off Tom. It pissed off Tom that somebody else got to break it and it wasn't broken through a press release, which is how he wanted to control the story. He wanted to do the press conference. He wanted to do it on Monday. That's all been changed now. I'm not even sure, did he do a press conference? I haven't seen if he did a press conference. I know that there was a statement that was released. So, but it is official. Tom Brady has confirmed that he is retiring. So that means that it's also official that Darlington and Schefter were right. The quarterback confirmed on Tuesday that he would be retiring after 22 seasons. Writing on Twitter, Brady said, I have always believed the sport of football is an all-in proposition. If a 100% competitive commitment isn't there, you won't succeed, he added. This is a difficult time for me to write, but here it goes. I am not going to make that competitive commitment anymore. Brady, who played for 20 seasons with the New England Patriots, spent his last seasons with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and the decision to retire comes on the heels of a loss to the Los Angeles Rams in the playoffs. NFL Commissioner Roger Goodell said Brady will be remembered as one of the greatest to ever play in the NFL. Well, I think there's no doubt now that he's the greatest quarterback to ever play. You know, if we are going to just default and give the greatest player to ever play in the NFL award to a quarterback just because they're the quarterback, then yeah, I guess he is. But, you know, I don't know. I'd have to look at that. So there you have it. Tom Brady. Tom Brady is retiring, and Schefter and Darlington were right. And people, they kept Adam Schefter. I saw he trended something. He tweeted something earlier today with all of these tweets. He included all of these tweets from other people who were trashing him, calling him a fraud, saying that they made up a story, saying that they got. Adam Schefter kept the receipts, folks. Adam Schefter has them receipts. So I like Schefter. Schefter's good, man. Schefter's good. Who's the baseball guy that's really good? Jeff Passan with baseball is really good. Yeah. Anyway, there you have it. New England is trending. There are a number of companion trends to the Tom Brady story. New England is trending because New England fans, because they're bitches. Oh, man, these are such bitches. New England fans are pointing out that longtime quarterback Tom Brady made no mention of the New England Patriots, the team he played 20 of his 22 seasons for, in a series of posts announcing his retirement. Oh, my God. It's over, New England. He dumped you. Get over it. You're like Kanye. Jeez, you got Mac Jones now. What is Mac Jones? You're Julia Fox. You're pining for Kim Kardashian Brady? Is this what's happening here? Stop it. Jesus Louises. So that's why New England is trending. Also trending, Aaron Rodgers is trending because some idiot, some moron sports guy, I don't even know who he is, but he just put out this stupid tweet, and then suddenly there's like 10 billion retweets claiming that Aaron Rodgers is going to Tampa Bay. Aaron Rodgers isn't going to Tampa Bay, okay? He's not. First of all, he won't be in the division. There's no way that the Green Bay Packers, he's probably going to end up in the AFC. Packers don't want to deal with that. And also, can we talk a little bit about the salary cap issue that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers have? They have no salary cap. They have nothing. They can't bring in Aaron Rodgers. You know what Aaron Rodgers is going to stop it. Aaron Rodgers is trending alongside Tampa Bay. He ain't going to Tampa Bay. Aaron, here's what I'm almost positive of. Okay, are you ready for this? Aaron Rodgers is probably going to go to Denver. Okay, that makes perfect sense. His OC is now the head coach of Denver. He loves Nathaniel Hackett, who's the new head coach of the Denver Broncos. That's where he's going to go. He's going to end up in Denver. It's in the AFC. It's out of the NFC. Green Bay's in full rebuild mode. Here's the other one. Mitch Trubisky is going to the New York Giants. That's right. That's right. Old one and done in Buffalo, Mitch Trubisky. Brian Daboll loves Mitch Trubisky. Brian Daboll is the guy that convinced the Buffalo Bills to bring in Mitch Trubisky as a backup to Josh Allen. Daboll likes him. Daboll does not love Daniel Jones. Mitch Trubisky is a much better NFL quarterback than Daniel Jones. New York needs a quarterback. It's going to be Mitch Trubisky. And I'm not saying he's going to win Super Bowls or whatever, but look, all I'm saying is those are the only two things that I'm absolutely certain of. And that is that Aaron Rodgers is not going to be in Green Bay. Okay, so I'm not really sure of that. It's more I'm a Bear fan, and I need him off that team. I am tired of losing to Aaron Rodgers twice a year, every year for the last decade. And for the decade before that, it was Brett Favre. I am ready as a Bear fan to take a look at Jordan Love. Can we get Jordan Love in there, Green Bay? So I believe that if Aaron Rodgers is going anywhere, he's going to follow his offensive coordinator, Nathaniel Hackett, to the Denver Broncos, and he'll be the quarterback there. And I also believe, because of some stuff that I read last night, that Mitch Trubisky's probably going to end up in New York with the Giants, which is good because I love Mitch. I love Mitch. I'm telling you, I watched every snap that kid played in the NFL, and here's what I can tell you about Mitch Trubisky in the NFL. It wasn't his fault. It wasn't Mitch's fault. Mitch made some plays, and it was just so easy for people to go, well, he sucks because look at Patrick Mahomes. They could have had Patrick Mahomes, and instead they got this kid. Stop it. Mitch Trubisky had a bullshit head coach, a bullshit offense. It was nonsense. It was absolute nonsense, and they got him killed. I'm not saying that he's going to the Hall of Fame. I'm just saying he wasn't his fault. He deserves a shot. Okay, so there we go. All right, now we were talking about the fake news thing. So this is complicated, and this is one that we're gonna have to jump into. So yesterday on the show, I talked about ivermectin was trending. Ivermectin is the horse equine parasite killer that veterinarians use, and it's also the thing that has become sort of front and center. Because vax deniers are saying, no, use the horse stuff instead. Which, if we could all just take a deep breath and just think about that. The complaint, if you're being intellectually honest here, the complaint anti-vaxxers have about the vaccine is that it hasn't been tested on humans. If that is or that, we don't know what it does to you. If that is in fact your legitimate, intellectually honest concern about the COVID vaccine, then you can't say, but do a couple of shots of horse stuff. That shit's never, that shit hasn't been tested either. That shit. Okay, so yesterday, ivermectin was trending because a Japanese pharmaceutical company is conducting studies on ivermectin with a university in Tokyo. Reuters put out a story yesterday that I reported here because it was trending. Reuters put out a story that suggested that ivermectin had shown, according to this study, that ivermectin had shown antiviral effects, that it had antiviral effects against Omicron. Okay, so that story comes out, starts to trend. Everybody's talking about it. See, ivermectin. Hey, everybody, all those people. Look, well, the horse parasite works. Everybody chug horse worm or whatever. So that went on for a couple hours. Then Reuters issued a retraction. Okay, so then Reuters said, whoa, hold on a second. We got that wrong. So let me read you what the latest thing is. Okay, so now this is a Reuters thing. And again, this comes to fake news. If you're going to embrace the story that says something you want to believe, which is that ivermectin cures COVID and you were right all along, if you are going to embrace that story, then you can't call fake news on the retraction. You cannot, and again, this is a question of being intellectually consistent. You cannot pick and choose the stories that you want to believe. Now, if you're a Q person, I guess you're going with, well, see, they let the cat out of the bag, and now Reuters is being forced to say that they were lying when they originally weren't lying. This story is so confused at this point. I have no idea. I have no idea what the Japanese study showed. I have no idea if it's actually shown some positive things as it relates to curing COVID. I don't know. I have no clue at this point. But here, I'm going to read to you the story. This comes from Newsweek. Reuters corrects report that ivermectin has antiviral effect against Omicron in humans. Pugs, why are you reading it like you're just reading something for the first time and you're in the third grade? Because I want to get it right. News agency Reuters has corrected a report incorrectly stating that the antiparasitic drug ivermectin was shown to be effective as an antiviral against the Omicron variant in phase 3 clinical trials, which fueled false claims that it should be used to treat COVID-19. I don't know what the hell that means. I don't know what clinical trials are. I mean, I have a semi-literate idea of what they are. Ivermectin has been touted as a COVID-19 treatment despite a lack of clinical evidence. The drug is not approved by the U.S. Food and Drug Administration for use in humans to treat COVID-19. In fact, the agency has explicitly warned against the drug being used in this way, citing multiple reports of people requiring hospital treatment after self-medicating with doses intended for farm animals. I mean, unless you're 800 pounds, you probably got to do a little math to figure out how much of this stuff you should take. If it says on the bottle of horse syrup that, give 1 cup to your gigantic thoroughbred to get, that means a human, you don't do the whole 1 cup. You got to do, it's like when you want to give your kid like a sleeping pill because, you got to wake up early in the morning for a plane trip. You don't give him 2 Tylenol PMs. What you do is you take 1 Tylenol PM, you crack it in half, and you give him that because it's a little person. Ivermectin is only approved for human and animal use in treating certain parasitic infections, though the type given to people is different than the type given to animals. I don't even know what I'm reading. I'm just trying to get it out there. The way this story is read. Well, why is the first story fake news, but this one isn't fake news? Why can't this one be fake news? I don't know. I right now at this point, I'm so angry at the story because I'm confused. I consider myself a fairly well-read. I consider myself as someone who can comprehend relatively difficult things. I struggle a bit. I am struggling on this one. I have no idea what this story is about. On Monday, Reuters reported that ivermectin had been shown to have an antiviral effect against the Omicron variant of COVID-19 in phase 3 trials, which are conducted in humans, citing a press release by Japanese pharmaceutical company Kawa. So Reuters cited a press release by the pharmaceutical company Kawa. However, Reuters later published a correction to this claim, explaining that this statement was not true. So Reuters then went and said, okay, the thing that the Japanese pharmaceutical company put out is not true. In that what Kawa had actually found was that ivermectin had an antiviral effect against COVID-19 in non-clinical research, which I think is the story that I read. The note read, the original Reuters story misstated that ivermectin was effective against Omicron in phase 3 clinical trials, which are conducted on humans. This is not a groundbreaking development. Reports suggesting that ivermectin may be used as a COVID-19 treatment based on non-clinical in vitro research, essentially test tube studies, date back to 2020. However, in vitro research cannot capture the complexity of a clinical human study, and results based on such research do not always. I'm tired head. Here is the bottom line. Just as Joe Rogan is probably not the source for this kind of information, what Pugs said, not that any of you would, because, I'm just reading stuff here. I don't know. The thing is that now this story has become so confused that absolutely nobody knows what to believe. One of the things that I saw trending was that Joe Rogan posted yesterday in response to the story that ivermectin looked to be effective against COVID. He rather smugly attached the story and then just put, well, looky here. And then he got hammered by everybody because he actually sent that tweet out after the story had been corrected. So he was running, he was sort of grandstanding off of the original story, not being aware that there was a retraction story. Oh my God. And then it just went like 10,000 of his people. Joe Rogan's right. Joe Rogan knows more than I. Oh God. Everybody's so confused on this. So there you have it. I guess this is one of them situations where I'd advise you to do your own research. I have no idea. But that's why ivermectin is trending once again. Speaking of things that are trending once again, we talked about this yesterday. Historically Black colleges and universities, the HBCUs, are trending for the second day in a row. Why? Because now, again, 7 historically Black colleges and universities reported bomb threats on Tuesday. Howard University and many others received bomb threats on Monday. It's the thing now. I mean, it's just every day. I have no idea. And this is going to be the last sports story. But not that was a sports story. Caleb Williams is trending alongside Lincoln Riley, OU quarterback Caleb Williams, and of course former OU head coach Lincoln Riley. Lincoln Riley dusted Oklahoma for USC a few months back. He said, "I'm out of here," which, can you blame him? I mean, look, being the head coach of the Oklahoma Sooners, that's a pretty good gig. It's one of the best gigs in college football. It's the Sooners. You're not coaching Tulsa. You're not coaching Miami of Ohio. You're coaching the Sooners. That's a big fan base. It's a nice endowment. It's a great little college town. Of course, the rest of the state is Oklahoma, but still, if you got to live in Oklahoma, that's probably the coolest place to live in Oklahoma. Although I guess there are nice places in Tulsa and maybe Oklahoma City too. Although I haven't spent any time in Oklahoma City. I've spent some time in Tulsa. Tulsa can be fun. So he's taken Caleb Williams, Oklahoma quarterback, has entered the transfer portal. He'll be going to USC as well. Again, about the whole Lincoln Riley, Caleb Williams thing. Yeah, I mean, I'm sorry, but in this new modern day and age of college football, where now college football players have opportunities to make money outside of their, scholarships. I mean, they weren't even allowed to take jobs from boosters and stuff. Now they can do commercials. And I'm Caleb Williams and I have my son and I turn around USC and I'm Lincoln Riley and I turn around you. I'm just saying it's better to live in Southern California with a whole lot of money than it is to live in Norman, Oklahoma. That's all I'm saying. I don't think I'm going out on a limb on that. I mean, for me, maybe for you, maybe you want to own your cattle ranch or whatever. You want to be in the middle of nowhere. But man, Lincoln Riley was given the house. Literally, they bought him a mansion in USC in Beverly Hills. They also gave him use of a summer beach house in Malibu. They gave him use for he and his family of a private jet wherever they want to go, whenever they want to. On-call private jet service for Lincoln Riley and his family. Just ridiculous. So, I can't blame Lincoln Riley for leaving Oklahoma for, a chance to play at USC. And I certainly can't blame Caleb Williams. Because if you are about to be a standout college quarterback, and now you're allowed to make money outside of your football thing through endorsements and whatnot, I mean, I wonder where there's more of an opportunity to make money. Norman, Oklahoma, where you can maybe make a couple grand doing car dealership openings and, feed store openings, whatever it is, or Hollywood. I'm telling you, I said this a while ago. The transfer portal and the way that it has changed is going to just It's going to turn the big market college football teams into just recruiting behemoths, because now the players, the city of New York does not have much to speak of a college football team. Neither does Chicago. I mean, Chicago's got Notre Dame on the far southwest side over in Indiana. That's relatively considered the Chicago area. And it's got Northwestern, but they've never had like really good. You can make money in cities like Chicago now. New York City. Suddenly, what are we going to, NYU or Columbia is suddenly going to become a football powerhouse again because of Madison Avenue, because the players who play there are going to be able to make huge money doing, I don't know. I think, I don't know if the transfer portal was a way to sort of take the football power away from the SEC. I don't know, maybe because there's not a lot of outside opportunities for people who play in more rural collegiates. And this is a new thing. We're only in the first couple of years here of the transfer portal, but we are going to see players defecting for cities and media markets that will just provide them with shit tons of money. Didn't they say like the new quarterback of Alabama already makes like $1 million a year based on promised advertising and endorsements? I mean, that's insane. So imagine if USC, remember when Matt Leinart and Reggie Bush and USC was like Pete Carroll was there when they were just like a monster team. Imagine if those players back then could make money outside. Matt Leinart would have had his own TV series. Good-looking young guy. He'd have been one of the stars of the Baywatch reboot. I mean, those are the kinds of opportunities that these places are going to be able to offer these football players. So there you go. Caleb Williams has followed Lincoln Riley out to sunny Southern California. Golden Corral is trending. Are you a fan of the Golden Corral? I'm a fat guy, so you know I am. But I'm also a bit of an elitist. So when I go to Golden Corral, I feel... what am I doing here? This is like a hog at a trough. My God, look at all that. Just fill the plate up with steak, and then I'll go to the chocolate fountain, and why not? We'll just cover the steak in chocolate fountain goodness. I love Golden Corral. I have good memories of Golden Corral. Me and my son, we used to go to Golden Corral. We used to go GC time, and we'd go there and we just load it. I like a buffet. I like a smorgasbord, if you will. I enjoy an all-you-can-eat opportunity in Golden Corral. That's shitty steak. Nah, it's not. It's steak. It tastes like steak. I put steak in a category with ice cream and pizza. There is no bad steak. I mean, steak is steak. Even if it's like rough and meaty or shoe leathery, you just chop it up small and you put it in something else, and now you got a nice little like steak and bits. Just put it on a salad. That's one of my favorite things, steak salad. I went to a restaurant once and they offered a steak salad, and I was like, steak salad? I'm like, yeah, instead of like chicken strips on the salad, they put steak. Sign me up. That sounds fantastic. So Golden Corral in Philadelphia is trending. Let's see why they're trending, because it's a fun one. We'll watch this video together. Apparently, there was here, I'll put it to you this way. A bunch of people in Philadelphia went to a Golden Corral, and guess what happened? They ran out of steak. Oh, and the Golden Corral folks, they did not handle that well. It did not go well. So let's watch this news report. Here, I'll pull it up. This comes to us from the Philadelphia CBS affiliate. Is it CBS? Maybe. Okay. Here we go. Let's watch this.
CBS News Philly. Hello and good evening, everyone. I'm Yuki Washington.
And I'm Jessica Cartalia. Friday night out turned into a melee in Bensalem at a Golden Corral restaurant. Now police are trying to figure out how it all started. Eyewitness News reporter Matt Petrillo is in Bensalem tonight. Matt?
Well, I talked to a man who posted that video online. He says he was told that fight broke out after the buffet here ran out of steak. Video shared with Eyewitness News shows punches being thrown and high chairs flying as a fight breaks out inside the Golden Corral in Bensalem Friday evening. Bensalem police confirm the brawl may have involved more than 40 people and happened following an argument among some customers. Officers are still looking into what caused the argument.
I've never seen nothing like that in Golden Corral before.
This man who used to work at the Bensalem Golden Corral says he was told by a current employee about the initial altercation.
From what I heard, it was over steak. Apparently somebody cut in line.
His friend heard the same details.
There was a shortage of steak. And
that's a problem.
Yeah, two parties were involved.
Take a close listen, and a man can be heard saying, "All I wanted was some steak." Golden Corral wouldn't answer our email asking if a lack of steak caused the melee. But JK Hospitality, the Golden Corral franchise, wrote in a statement, "Thankfully, no serious injuries have been reported. The safety of our guests and coworkers is our top priority."
Oh my gosh.
Meantime, people we showed the video to blame the customers.
Not respect for people or for property or anything. Disgusted that people would even do that in a public place when there's children around.
Our community should be safe for families.
And police tell us they're still trying to identify the person who started that food fight. They say the person could face several charges, including simple assault. Live in Bensalem, Matt Petrillo.
All right, there you go. Matt Petrillo, CBS News, Philadelphia. So what I was able to piece together, there's a big long line. And I guess, when they start to run out of steak, you expect another one of them big trays to come out with more steak. And I guess there was some knowledge among the grazers that steak was running out. And what are you going? I don't want the chicken. What are chicken or sausage links or whatever the hell? I go to Golden Corral because I want to eat I want to eat 4 pounds of just barely FDA approved steak. That's what I'm going there for. I want to eat. Steak sauce. That's a place you use steak sauce. You go to a nice steak restaurant and you use steak sauce. It's you're not really enjoying this. There, Golden Corral, Heinz 57. That's my brand. Maybe a little Lee and Perrins. Maybe a little bold and spicy A1, whatever it is. I prefer the Heinz 57. But you just dunk it in the steak, you eat it all. So they're in line and the steak is running out, and apparently somebody cut in line because that person wanted steak more than everybody else. I came here for steak and I'm going to victimize you by stepping in front. And then that started. What the heck? I'm not even going to ask the question. I was going to say, what the hell is wrong with people? But we know what's wrong with people. Humanity is we are flawed. Us acting like fools. That's just part of the design. We are just foolish people. It takes a lot of work for us to not give in to our worst instincts. And our worst instincts are always, I've been aggrieved. Somebody is taking something from me and now I'm angry. Remember, I talk about this a lot. The emotion that seems to bubble closest to the surface in all of us is anger. Anger, bitterness, resentment. That's the most easily acceptable emotion. And if you're not emotionally strong, you just tap into that because it's right there. It takes a lot of work to sift through that first layer of bitterness, anger, and resentment and then find understanding or compassion or whatever, because that stuff is underneath. You have to get through all the bitterness and the anger. And way too many of us don't have any understanding of these levels of our emotions that we are all dealing with. It is a stew. It is a bouillabaisse of bullshit human emotions that are going through us at all times. And it takes work to be kind. It takes work to be compassionate. Why? Because it's just not as easily acceptable as it is to go, fuck you, and be all angry and start throwing chairs. Because, at our roots, I guess we all are still just cavemen. We all are still just monkeys. We're just throwing our shit at each other because somebody got something that we didn't get. Golden Corral. Now I want Golden Corral. I really do. You know what? Maybe I hadn't thought about going to Golden Corral in a very long time. What are the prices like at Golden Corral now? They got that on Groupon? I'm a big Groupon guy now. I like Groupon. If I ever go out to dinner, it's only going to be a place for Groupon because I can't. It's just... That's why Golden Corral is trending. Hey, guess who else is trending? Whoopi. Whoopi Goldberg is trending. Whoopi Goldberg is trending because she said something very ham-fisted yesterday on The View. She was talking about the Holocaust, and she decided to turn it into a... First of all, how about this? How about this? Don't talk about the Holocaust. Don't ever mention the Holocaust. Don't ever talk about, unless you are in a teaching or a lecturing or an information sort of situation. Don't just go off, and wax poetic about your thoughts on the Holocaust, because chances are you're going to get in trouble. And Whoopi Goldberg did. She yesterday on The View got into a debate about the Holocaust. She resisted the idea that the Holocaust was about race. And Whoopi said that it wasn't about race because it was two white groups. It was the Germans against Jews, and the Jews are not white. She was her argument. So what she was trying to say, she was trying to speak in a more wide view of the situation. And she said this. She said that it wasn't about race as much as it was about man's humanity towards man. Well, okay. And you know what? That's true. It was. It was about man's humanity towards man when one race thinks they're the superior race. So, she got in trouble because she rejected the idea that it was race. I think she was thinking about race as it, quite honestly, pertains to black and white. But race, there are more races, there are more uses of the word race than just white people. The Jews are considered a religion and a race of people. So, she got in all kinds of trouble for that. And people were like, Whoopi Goldberg, you canceled Joe Rogan, Whoopi Goldberg. That whole thing went on, and it was like, Whoopi Goldberg. First of all, her name is Goldberg. I thought she was Jewish. I thought, how can you not be Jewish with a name like Goldberg? I thought that was her deal. I thought that she had converted to Judaism. She married, I don't know what it was, whatever. I have to look that up. But apparently, I guess she's not, because at some point she would have gone, I'm Jewish. And I didn't hear her do that. So she got in all kinds of trouble yesterday for this. And today she apologized. Do we ever apologize? Yeah, right. Why not? Do we waste time on the apology? Is it even wasting time? I don't know. Should we let her have her thing? Where is it? I don't have it. So not a big deal. All right. At any rate, she went on the show today and she apologized. She said, I offer my sincerest apologies for saying the Holocaust isn't about race. Well, here, I don't want to misrepresent any of these hot takes on the Holocaust. I have no Holocaust hot takes other than what an awful thing. There you go. That's all I'm saying. Whoopi Goldberg offered her sincerest apologies on Monday for the hurt I have caused by saying on The View earlier in the day that there was nothing racial about the Holocaust. While discussing a Tennessee school board's ban of the award-winning Holocaust graphic novel Maus, spelled M-A-U-S, Goldberg had said Adolf Hitler's final solution was not about race, even though the Holocaust was set in motion over Nazism's belief in the Aryan master race. Okay, so let's see here. This led the Anti-Defamation League CEO Jonathan Greenblatt to respond, "No, Whoopi, the Holocaust was about the Nazi systematic annihilation of the Jewish people, who they deemed to be an inferior race. They dehumanized them and used this racist propaganda to justify slaughtering 6 million Jews. Holocaust distortion is dangerous." In her subsequent apology, Goldberg wrote that on today's show, I said the Holocaust is not about race, but about man's inhumanity to man, which she's right, but she was very inartful in the way she got that point across. I should have said it is about both. She added that the Jewish people around the world have always had my support, and that will never waver. All right, so there you go. So, people trying to kill off Whoopi Goldberg. I don't know. I don't really have a take on Whoopi Goldberg. Ric Flair is trending. Whoo! Ric Flair, legendary wrestler. Probably the most, I would say decorated, but I don't know if that's fair to say in wrestling. My kid got really upset with me because he was watching wrestling. I don't know if I've told this story. he was watching wrestling and he got really excited about something. He goes, Dad, come over here and watch it. This guy was getting his ass kicked and it looked like he was about to go unconscious. I thought he'd never get up. And look at him. And he rewinds. He's like, gets up and look at what he does. Oh my God, I've never seen anything like that. And I said to my kid, I go, he's 12. I go, you know, this is all fake, right? You know that that's all scripted. He wasn't really hurt. What? Oh my God. And my son said something to me that, I mean, I walked out of the room, but it registered. I walked out of the room going, holy crap, did that hurt? He is absolutely right. My kid looked at me through tears welling up in his eyes and he said, why do you have to ruin things for me? Oh my God. I was like, I'm so sorry. And then, I'm not ruining it for you. I just don't want you to be duped. I want you to be smarter. I want you to be more analytical about these things. You know, and I get into that whole conversation about, I'm trying to prepare you for a world that is going to try and fool you at every turn. And if you've fallen for this stuff now, who knows what you're going to fall through? You know, that whole thing, that whole argument. But man, why do you always have to ruin things for me? Oh, that hurt. That was like, man, I just shit on his job. Here he was so excited to share this moment with me, and I just took a steaming shit on it. Good Lord. But Ric Flair is trending. He's one of my favorite wrestlers. I'm not a big wrestling fan. Like I guess when I was little, like, you know, in the Hulk Hogan days, you know, I guess I was kind of into it. Andre the Giant. But then, you know, I grew up. And then, you know, it just seemed like such an exercise in silliness when it was determined that it was all fake. And then you know, I mean, up until they had to change their name from WWE to WWF, they maintained that it was real, even though a lot of people were like, it's not real, you know, but whatever. So now they admit it's fake. They don't promote that it's fake, but, you know, for legal reasons, if they're ever in a court of law, they will admit that, yes, it is all fake. But Ric Flair is one of the fun guys of wrestling. What a character this guy is. Why is Ric Flair trending? Well, he's getting divorced. Or is he? Or was he ever married? I don't know. That's the whole problem here. Some people are saying he was never actually married to this woman, but they're going through a split up, we'll call that. He's been married 5 times in the past. I imagine being married to Ric Flair could be difficult. Ric Flair seemed like Ric Flair. Imagine being married to Ric Flair in 1984. I mean, Ric Flair was. I can't imagine the most faithful husband. I can't imagine that he was a drinker. Look, I have socialized with Ric Flair on numerous occasions. One of the reasons that, you know, I like Ric Flair is because he was one of these wrestling guys who was always trotted out to local radio when the wrestling came to town. Ric Flair was the best guy to send to the radio shows because Ric Flair was fun. He was fun. He knew how to sell it. He played the character. Whoo! I mean, Ric Flair is a legend in the world of American professional wrestling, probably worldwide. Wrestling legend Ric Flair has denied that he was ever married to Wendy Barlow after announcing the pair have ended it. Flair, 72 years old, seemingly got hitched to Barlow, 61. However, hold on, wait a second. No, thanks. Sorry, there's a pop-up like that. Wrestling legend Ric Flair has denied he was ever married to Wendy Barlow after announcing the pair have ended their relationship. Flair, 72, seemingly got hitched for the 5th time back in September of 2018, when he and Barlow, 61, hosted a glamorous ceremony on the rooftop of the Pearl Hotel in Rosemary Beach, Florida. Well, there is no state that feels more wrestly than Florida. That just seems weird. However, on Monday, the 16-time world champion, is that a legit record? On Monday, the 16-time world champion told his 1.1 million Twitter followers, after taking some time apart, Wendy and I have decided to go our separate ways. Please respect our privacy and our families during these times. I will love and cherish all of our memories together forever, and I will forever be thankful for all she has done to make my life better. And then there's a picture of 71-year-old Ric Flair and 61-year-old Wendy Barlow. The 61's been good to Wendy Barlow. Wendy Barlow is a beautiful woman. 61. We said yesterday about Madonna. 60 ain't what 60 was in 1980. 60 is a completely different age now. I don't know how that happened, but I don't know if it's, daily spin classes or plastic surgery or whatever. But 60 ain't what it used to be. Flair went on to say the separation would be an opportunity for Wendy and praised her for taking care of him throughout their time together. In 2017, the American wrestling legend was diagnosed with alcoholic cardiomyopathy that has led to further health complications, including kidney failure. He's a drinker. He's a big-time drinker. And the Nature Boy has told People magazine that there won't be any need for a divorce, with their previous ceremony simply a show of commitment and not an official marriage. So there you have it. Actress Barlow, who Flair first met when they worked together at World Championship Wrestling in 1993, also confirmed that the couple never applied for a wedding certificate and revealed that they have been living apart since August of last year. Flair is best renowned for his wrestling exploits in WWE, WCW, and AWA, and as late as August last year was still appearing on new promotions when he participated in NWA 73. Widely considered the greatest performer of all time. Yeah, I would say, yeah, Ric Flair. The first name, when you say, name a wrestler, I would go, Ric Flair. I guess that would give you that title. Widely considered the greatest performer of all time, Flair has also become notorious for his strings of marriages, first tying the knot to Leslie Goodman in 1971, and after the couple had 2 children, David and Megan, they divorced in 1983. That same year, he married WWE star Elizabeth Harrell, a partnership which lasted 23 years and also yielded 2 children, Reed and Charlotte. The latter is currently a WWE SmackDown Women's Champion and one of the biggest female stars in the industry. Flair then married fitness instructor, of course he did, Tiffany Vandemark in 2006, but she filed for divorce 2 years later amidst rumors of financial problems and volatile behavior from her husband. Finally, he married Jackie Beams in 2009, but she too instigated a divorce after alleging irrational behavior on the part of Flair. I've been in situations where there was a bar and Ric Flair and a meet and greet kind of situation, and he was not. I remember one radio show in Chicago that I was working on where Ric Flair came in and I was walking him down the hallway. He had a bag with him and he said, "You mind if I have a beer?" It was like 7 a.m. I'm like, "No, man, come on, Nature Boy, you do you, my friend." That was basically my response. I don't care. Have yourself a beer. So, I guess maybe he did have a bit of a drinking issue. Also trending today, let's see here as we get through this. Graham Nash is trending. Graham Nash of Crosby, Stills, Nash, and sometimes Young. Graham Nash is also pulling his music from Spotify. Graham Nash, here's his statement. Having heard the COVID disinformation spread by Joe Rogan on Spotify, I completely agree with and support my friend and partner Neil Young, and I am requesting that my solo recordings be removed from the service. There is a difference between being open to varying viewpoints on a matter and knowingly spreading false information, which some 270 medical professionals have derided as not only false but dangerous. Likewise, there is a difference between misinformation in which one is unaware that what is being stated is false versus disinformation which is knowingly false and intended to mislead and sway public opinion. The opinions publicized by Rogan are so dishonest and unsupported by solid facts that Spotify becomes an enabler in a way that costs people their lives, said Nash. And he also called out Jackson Brown and Stephen Stills. David Crosby, who is another member of Crosby, Stills, Nash, and Young. Imagine that. David Crosby has said that he would absolutely pull his music from Spotify in solidarity with Neil Young. But he doesn't own his music. He's like, I sold that years ago. That's why I'm sitting on a pile of $200 million, because I sold all of them. But, I would like my music to be pulled, but it's not my decision. Graham Nash, apparently he does still own his catalog of solo music. And he is, Graham Nash. Ooh, the voice of an angel. Graham Nash of the Hollies, Crosby, Stills, Nash, and Young. A number of solo hits in the 70s Graham Nash had. So yeah, there he is. But also on this same tip here, David Crosby. I said this the other day, and I tweeted it. I think it was on Saturday that I tweeted this on Twitter. I simply tweeted, does Taylor Swift understand the power that she currently holds? That's just a question, because Taylor Swift could rock Spotify. It's one thing, all of these oldster Rock and Roll Hall of Fame members pulling their music. I don't know that their core audience uses Spotify to the degree of younger people. There have been no younger skewing artists or bands that have stepped up. But, I tweeted that, Taylor Swift could get Joe Rogan fired by simply going, no more Swiftie. No more Swift music on Spotify. That would definitely put Spotify in a very difficult place. I wasn't encouraging her to do so. I just had thought, wow, like who could really do damage? Because I'm tired of hearing about Barry Manilow and Joni Mitchell. Who could really do some damage here? And it's Taylor Swift. So on that tip last night, David Crosby, you said that he can't pull his own music because he doesn't own his own music. David Crosby sent out a tweet that just simply said, if someone can put me in touch with Taylor Swift, I would very much like to speak with her. Oh, look at that. I'm like, yeah, all right. So other people do agree with me. Taylor Swift has got some stroke. She could definitely do some things. Let's see what else is trending here. This is a quick one. Kristen Bell is trending. Oh, Kristen Bell. Is she darling or what? Is Kristen Bell like just America's girlfriend? Isn't she just... I can't tell you how much I love Kristen Bell. I love everything about Kristen Bell. First of all, she's pretty. She's a very pretty girl, but she's funny. She does comedy at just an elite level. She's married to Dax Shepard. Her and Dax Shepard together. They're like the greatest, coolest, most awesome couple in Hollywood. They're both hysterically funny together. They're both just attractive, sure. They're gonna have attractive kids, whatever. Their kids probably are attractive. I don't know. I haven't seen them. Just what a wonderful Kristen Bell is well on her way to national treasure status. That's right. So why is she trending? She's trending because she's got a new show. She's got a new show on Netflix, a show that I started to watch. I only got 15 minutes into it because I started it a little bit too late. And I got tired, and I'm going to go back to it. But it's a new show on Netflix. And what's it called? Oh, boy, here we go. It's got a really strange name. Okay. In case the elongated title of Kristen Bell's newest Netflix miniseries didn't tip you off, here's the title. The Woman in the House Across the Street from the Girl in the Window is a comedic spoof on murder mysteries. But it was a racy scene that got one fan riled up enough to take to Twitter with a comment that elicited a response from Kristen Bell herself. So apparently there's like a sexy scene. And this guy tweeted out that, I was watching the new Kristen Bell show, which, again, what's it called? The Woman in the Window looking across the street to the girl in the window that's over there. Whatever, it's called something like that. So there's like this sexy scene, and this kid on Twitter said, so I was watching the new Kristen Bell show with my mom and my girlfriend, and it got to the episode 5. It got to the episode 5, blah, 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 whatever. I guess there's like a dirty little steamy sex scene. And he basically said that it was embarrassing and it was traumatic for him to have to sit there with his mom watching this scene. And Kristen Bell, because she's super cool, and this is why Twitter is so much fun, because celebrities sometimes just jump in your threads. Kristen Bell responded to him, ha, 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 sorry, my dude. She's so cool. And then, if he was starstruck at all, Eric hid behind it quickly and used his wits and calm with an equally funny response to Bell. You need to apologize to my mom right now. In the show, a twist of the classic Hitchcock flick, Rear Window, Bell's character is a struggling alcoholic who witnesses a murder, and when no one takes her seriously, she tries to solve the crime herself. Again, let me get the title right. I watched like the first 15 minutes of it, and I don't know what to tell you about the first 15 minutes other than Kristen Bell is a delight. Just a delight. The show is called The Woman in the House Across the Street from the Girl in the Window. And again, it's a comedy. It's a dark comedy. It is a spoof of all of the, I guess Only Murders in the Building is also a spoof, but this one has Kristen Bell, so it's better. Oh, she is so darling. She is so darling. Happy Lunar New Year. That's happening today. Today is, it used to be Chinese New Year, but we can't say that anymore because apparently more than just the Chinese celebrate it. Okay, like who? The Taiwanese? Wasn't that China? Racist! I don't know. Happy Lunar New Year. It is the year of the tiger. It's the year of the tiger. Wow, waka chicka, wow, wow, wow. Waka chicka, waka, wow, wow. The year of the tiger. Wordle. I talked about Wordle. Wordle is trending. I wanted to, I felt like I'm missing out on something. Wordle is this new game. It's a new game that everybody is talking about on the social medias. Everybody plays it. Everybody tries to help each other. It looks like a really nice little community building game. I have no idea what it's about. People are like, you got to get into Wordle. So I talked about Wordle yesterday. And guess what? It's signed, sealed, and delivered. I will not be getting into Wordle. And you know what? A lot of other people who are into Wordle are probably going to stop being into Wordle because Wordle has been purchased by the New York Times, which means Wordle is going behind a paywall. So now we'll have bootleg Wordles. We got, oh, wow. Here's an opportunity to rip off the format and just call it something else and make it free. But I guess Wordle has been free and everybody's talking about it. It became really popular. We're talking about something like the last couple of months, maybe even weeks. I don't know. I just became aware of it recently. But it's a word game. It's a daily word game that people play. And everybody was talking about it. And yeah. So now if you want to continue to play Wordle, you got to pay the New York Times. You got to buy a subscription to the online edition of the New York Times to get access to your Wordle. Actually, let me read the story because I don't know how long Wordle's been around. Maybe the story will tell us how long it's been around. Hit game Wordle heading to the New York Times. Here's what I love. It's a new game. If I had said in November of last year, November of 2021, if I'd have said, I got a new game, I want to pitch you, and people would be like, there ain't no new games. All the games have been created. No, ain't nobody going to have any breakthrough hit with a new game. What do you don't think people have thought of every possible game? And then Wordle comes along. Heads up, puzzlers. Everyone's current obsession, Wordle, is heading to the New York Times. The company announced Monday that it acquired the popular word game for an amount in the low seven figures. Our games already provide original high-quality content and experiences every single day, the Times said in a press release announcing the acquisition. Wordle will now play a part in that daily experience, giving millions more people around the world another reason to turn to the Times to meet their daily news and life needs. For those who have never played Wordle, getting started is simple. You have 6 chances to guess a certain 5-letter word. If a letter you've chosen is in the word, but in the wrong space, the box turns yellow. Oh, tired head. I'm already tired head. Choose the right letter in the right spot, and the box will turn green. You can only play once a day, and the game is currently hosted on a simple ad-free website. The game was created by Brooklyn-based software engineer Josh Wardle. No way! No way! The guy who invented Wordle, his last name is Wardle? Get out of it. That's clever. Kudos to you, Josh. It was created by Josh Waddle in October of 2021. I said November. I was just reaching. I was close. It's new. Josh Waddle in October of 2021 as a gift to his wife. That according to the New York Times. In the 3 months since its launch, the game has garnered millions of daily players. The Times said, many of whom delight in sharing their high and low scores on social media. Wardle tweeted Monday that the response to the game has been incredible but overwhelming. I'm just one person, and it is important to me that as Wordle grows, it continues to provide a great experience to everyone. Given this, I'm incredibly pleased to announce that I've reached an agreement with the New York Times for them to take over running Wordle going forward. Wardle also said that he is working with the company to ensure that players' streaks and data are saved when the game moves to the Times platform. The Times did not guarantee that the game would stay free. No, of course they didn't. Nope. But said that at the time it moves to the New York Times, Wordle will be free to play for new and existing players, and no change. Oh, that's the old drug dealer thing. So when it moves to the New York Times, they're going to keep it free. They're going to give you a taste. They're going to keep it free. Come on in. We're going to make this, right now, everybody's playing for free. We're taking it over. Come on. Nothing's going to change. Come on. Play for free. Then wham! They're going to hit you. They're going to hit you like in June. They're going to hit you like in June with Wordle is now moving behind the paywall. So there you have it. That's why Wordle is trending. Let's see here. UCLA is trending because apparently a professor at UCLA, who's a philosophy professor, is putting up YouTube saying they're going to kill everybody. So UCLA is on lockdown. UCLA has got all their students staying in their dorms, doing all their classes from home because a crazy professor is threatening to kill people. And they know who he is, but that's the thing. Also, Oakland, California is trending because Oakland, California, Xfinity Cable had a widespread outage in Oakland during the playoffs, the football playoffs on Sunday. Some drive-by shooting dude shot all of the cable wires, and so all the internet went out. But it's back on, so that's why Oakland. The power was restored, I guess, sometime last night. ERCOT is trending for the second day in a row. ERCOT, which is the I knew it yesterday. Electric, whatever. It's the people that monitors the electric situation that we have here in Texas. The one that crashed last winter during the was that? I see these dates. Was that Valentine's Day of last year? I mean, I imagine if it was Valentine's Day, some people might have some, pretty solid connective tissue with remembering that yes, it was, we had a candlelight Valentine's Day dinner we were wearing parkas and not parkas. Nobody in Texas has parkas. Dateline Austin, as temperatures are expected to drop to freezing temperatures across the state of Texas this week, many Texans are focusing on another forecast: energy demand on the state's power grid. Almost exactly a year after Winter Storm Uri in February of 2021, which shut off power for millions of customers and killed an estimated hundreds of Texans. According to ERCOT, peak demand is expected to hit 71.4 gigawatts. This is per a forecast released at 7:30 p.m. Monday, which is in striking distance of the all-time high demand. This level of demand is expected to come at 8 a.m. Friday, though this forecast has dropped in the last day from an even higher. Oh, so they've moved it up now. So it was originally yesterday 71.4, but now they're saying 74.6 gigawatts. I don't know what that means, but I understand that the higher the number, no so good. To put this in perspective, the previous record was 74.8 gigawatts set in the summer of 2019. However, the demand during Winter Storm Uri in February was expected to set a new record of 76.8 gigawatts if it wasn't for ERCOT shutting off the power supply to prevent an indefinite blackout that could have lasted weeks or months, which the grid was less than 5 minutes away from hitting. This demand also blows right past the 59 gigawatts of estimated peak load from the winter of 2011. Which is the last time state lawmakers had to take a serious look at reforming the power. But they fixed it, right? Right? I mean, Abbott and all the guys in charge of keeping us safe and keeping the power coming to our houses after what happened with, Winter Storm Uri. After that, they fixed it, right? They spent so we're fine. I mean, Abbott's got this. Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick, they got this, right? Our elected officials took that very seriously after a whole bunch of people died and that the whole state was basically transformed into the dark ages for a period of time. They got right on. Did they fix it? I don't know. I have no idea. I wasn't here. You people were here. Were there major things that were done? I have no idea. Energy consultant and Stoic Energy LLC president Doug Lewin said this trend is quite worrisome. If there are outages, it's a sign our system is far worse than anybody thought, Lewin said. What we're seeing is an increasing level of probability that we're going to have severe storms and cold spells in the wintertime and the heat waves in the summertime. We have just not calibrated ourselves yet to deal with those kinds of things. I just think we're not prepared yet because we have not focused on those kinds of trends on the demand side. CBS Austin reached out to ERCOT to ask if the grid is prepared to handle this much demand, and they provided the following statement. All right, here we go. The Electric Reliability Council of Texas, ERCOT, is anticipating high demand for power Wednesday through Sunday due to a forecasted cold front. This cold front is expected to bring winter weather and precipitation to the ERCOT region. ERCOT is taking early preventative action ahead of the expected increase in demand to ensure the grid remains reliable. ERCOT will deploy all the tools available to us to manage the grid effectively during this winter weather. We are coordinating closely with the Texas Division of Energy Management, the Public Utility Commission, and elected officials, as well as electric generators and transmission and distribution utilities, to keep Texans informed throughout the week. We have ordered power plants across the region to postpone planned outages and to return from outages already in progress. I don't know what any of this means. Does this mean that we're going to be in the dark all weekend? Does this mean that I got to go into my boxes of Chicago clothes and get all of the sweaters out that I haven't needed to get the sweaters out? Because again, it's like 60 degrees right now. I have no idea what it is right now. All right, so we got that coming. Groundhog Day is tomorrow. So Groundhog Day is trending. Groundhog Day is trending tomorrow. And apparently, like, the New Jersey State groundhog died today. So that's not a good sign. That's not a good sign. Oh, and do you remember, here's something do you remember when de Blasio, the mayor of New York, a couple years back, picked up the groundhog in the ground and he dropped the groundhog? And everybody went, oh, like he picked up the groundhog. He's like, here's the groundhog and didn't see it shit. I don't know how it goes. But he's like, here's the groundhog. Look at the groundhog. And what? And then the groundhog fell. And then they quickly scooped the groundhog back. All's fine. All's fine. You remember that? All wasn't fine. That groundhog died a week later from internal injuries. But de Blasio killed the groundhog. All right. There you go. That's all I got. That's pretty much it. Although this is the time where we like to see if anything new has happened. I've been ignoring the chat room because it's hard for me to do two things at once. So I don't know if anything major has broken, but let's see here. Let's see if we've got anything else. Oh boy, I'm seeing right off. All right, Colbert is trending. Why is Stephen Colbert trending? Let's see this. Whoopi Goldberg continues to receive criticism and provoke debate over an appearance on Late Show with Stephen Colbert, where she elaborated and some say doubled down on her take on the Holocaust. All right, so that's why Colbert is trending. Jerry West, the logo. How cool of a nickname is that? Jerry West, of course, Los Angeles Lakers icon. That's his nickname, the logo. Because he's the the NBA logo with the silhouette of the player doing a crossover dribble. That's Jerry West. They took Jerry West from his playing days and they made that the NBA logo. Jerry West, the logo. For Jerry West, the final straw with the Lakers came when they repealed the lifetime season tickets that he and the late Dr. Buss had promised. It was a cold phone call to my wife. No one had the nerve to call me, but that's how petty they are. Jerry West, Lakers angers grows. All right, so Jerry West is pissed at the Lakers. That's fine. That's fine. Although you can't treat the logo badly. How you gonna treat the logo of the entire league badly? Jerry West is the logo. he should have season tickets to any game. And I'm sure